guys, it's MJ. How are you? I felt inspired to go live. Sometimes I do this. I had to pull over because I had a car checkup today and my my tire light went on, so I randomly pulled over. I had to press the reset button because obviously I've just had a check. Side note, benefits of listening to the Intuish. I kept hearing my inner voice say, check brakes, check brakes. So I took it into my local garage and they had a check over, and indeed I was like desperately in need of brake pads, and they were like, you know, you might not have made it through to Brighton once again this week. So like I squeezed my car in this morning, got my brakes checked, oil checked, my car's all good to go, and then I've pulled over and I felt like sharing with you guys the connection between loving yourself and attracting abundance, and sometimes the not so obvious journey of feeling into love for yourself and following the breadcrumb trails to your higher timelines or your higher manifestations in as far as just feeling more abundant in yourself. And I'm certainly aware of this sort of 2 to 3 year phase for me of like really taking big leaps, really ignoring circumstances and just following this intuitive guidance in the present moment, and the intensity of the lessons that I've learned increasingly so in this last phase. Now, some of you know I talked about this, like I'm really into astrology, and I only recently actually in my deepening of research or whatever, I'm more into it, and I now know that Uranus, which is like a big planet as far as like what it does in our lives, and Uranus has been in Aries and I'm in Aries, and it's, yeah, this last like 6-7 years has just been like like intense bombardment of like love myself and like healing all these deep wounds and healing courses, and like just doing yoga like intensely and meditating like a mofo and just be like, I shall heal. And then increasingly in the last couple of years, it's been like really going for, you know, bigger levels of abundance, more money, more flow, more travel, more pioneering of All to Love as a business and attracting investment, and then having to like face big conflicts and having to like face crazy situations and deal with loads of shit and like owning it all, right, energetically, and transforming it. What I've realized and really recently is this ability to really sit with stuff, still reacting, like still having to be compassionate and forgiving toward myself, because I'm still sometimes like lashing out in the moment when I'm having to deal with more residual wounds around betrayal or trust or whatever, and yet that process is kind of getting easier. And this is why, guys, it's really useful to have like coaches and or mentors and or like healers that you can reach out to. Is I've been really doing that, like really working with somebody where it's just like, this is going on and this is happening, and like working it out in that deeper, loving and intuitive way, where understanding how, why I've attracted situations, what it all means. And because I'm owning and transforming the energy, what I realize is like from 1 week to the next and from 1 day to the next, I could have a completely different perspective around something, around someone, around a situation. And then it brings back this clarity around my own mission as a human being, and like the whole idea of like detachment, and like our love is not in another, our joy is not in another, and yet we can add value to one another's lives. And ultimately, if we're not vibrationally able to do that, the masks eventually will come off, and deeper, profound lessons can be integrated within our own being, and that's always an awesome thing. And it is miraculous. I swear to God, it's just miraculous, because it's like these subtle shifts, and then like this new frequency, this new awareness, this new ability to work with energy and like dissolve and transform. Even like weird imaginations around like having these like different beings inside my body, where they're part of the reason that I'm like attracting in certain energies, right? And knowing, for me, the deeper knowing of like the healing of the collective, it becomes this intuitive sword. It's happened to me quite a lot in the last like again, like sort of 2-year cycle of like these intuitive, I might like traverse along, and then the sudden intuitive sword sort of clamps down and is like, no, thou shall not pass, like as in this energy is not in service to the whole. And so no matter how much love there is, no matter how much whatever there is, it's got to be cut out. The energy has to be cut out. It doesn't mean we're not all one. It just means that those energy sort of amplifications and the awareness of the subtleties, we must become more and more responsible for our own journeying. And if other people's energetic, you know, vibes just aren't quite in alignment, it's important for us to have that inner commitment to love, to let go, basically. And like, it is really like on every level I can feel the healing, because things will come up that kind of just remind you of like, it's safe to let go. Everything is held in the divine container. Every being is held within their own divinity and eternity. And often it's like, it so much is an attachment to a fantasy, that a vision. I wouldn't even like just kind of like want to put it down. It is a true vision, and it is a feeling kind of vision from within self of our peacefulness, of our true loving abundance life timeline on this planet, this kind of love, this Mother Earth kind of planet. And so we are kind of holding that within our own human bodies, which is why for this acceleration, for this awakening, for this whatever ascension you want to call it, it's like we just have to keep going. And the more we just commit to keep going, the more, the quicker and the easier it'll be for everybody else to start to step up, to start to level up, to start to really step into their power and become the power they're choosing to see, but they're still entangled in their unconsciousness. They're still entangled in their own pain, their own patterns, their own whatever, as we all are. And yet part of sharing from this heart space is like sharing the clarity that comes in when I'm tuning into the service of all, to the like the divine loving voice that comes through for service to all, because that's ultimately what a lot of us are here to do, is share the divine that comes through us, that channels through us in whatever capacity. So for me, conscious movement and yoga and speaking, that's it pretty much, and writing, of course. And like for other, it's making music, for other it's holding space, for other it's, I mean, it's all kind of crosses over. For some people it's working with plants, for some people it's working in business, whatever. It's like we all have this divine purpose, and the journey to yoking into that authentic connection is totally unique, which is so kind of, it goes against the whole system, as it were, because the system teaches us we're all supposed to kind of be the same, and there's this very kind of limited worldview, and yet our expansion is showing us that it's kind of the reversal of that. We all have to yoke inward to express the divine channel that we're connected to, so that we can really raise one another up, not give our power away in the illusion that by helping other people out, that we're helping other people out, but we're drained. That illusion is like old paradigm, right? That's the slave patterning within us all, and in our ancestral genetic coding of fear and separation. So our healing of that is a very unique process, but recognize that our whole lives at this point, anyone tuning into these kind of videos, your whole life is a mirror for what changes you're needing to make on a deep level, on a subtle level, on like physical levels, everything around you, what's not quite right, what's not feeling good, who's da-da-da-da. Whatever we focus on, if it's not quite right, it's something we're denying in ourselves. It's a power we're feeding our old self. We're focusing on our old self rather than focusing on the desired effect of how we want our life to be. Usually when we focus on the old self as well, it's perpetuating fear. We're afraid of the pain that we might carry. We're afraid of what might happen if we take that leap again, or if we just take that leap for the first time, right? And ultimately it's those wounds that we have to keep facing over and over again. We have to keep healing and continuing this expansion, because trust me, once you get into the flow and the momentum of it, you don't want to go back ever. And that eventually you'll hit a tipping point, start to see your higher vibrational manifestations, and you'll be like, oh, okay, sweet, I'm on the flow. And you'll just want to keep going and going, and keep sharing and sharing, and keep showing up for yourself, because that's what it's all about, yo. That's what it's all about. Love you guys. Hope that was useful to you, and I hope you're having an amazing day. Love you tons, and I'll speak to you real soon. Take care. Bye.